What's up, guys? Welcome to another speed build. Happy Monday to all of you. I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you have a fantastic week to come. Today we are over in Granite Falls, and I am testing my cabin making skills. I am getting ready for the brand new expansion pack, Adventure Awaits, and I cannot be more excited for it. It is right up my alley. I love family gameplay so much, and this pack looks like it is filled with it. But before I get into today's build, I would like to take a brief second to invite you guys to leave a like on this video if you do find it enjoyable. It absolutely helps the algorithm kick my videos out to other simmers, and I appreciate it so much. Also subscribe if you have not already. I really would love to see you guys stick around and join the Clumsy Simmer team, I guess. That's not really a thing, but maybe it is now. But yeah, I really would like to see you guys stick around. I love to see your comments down below and interact with you guys, and I just appreciate you all so much, more than you would ever know. But with that being said, we have quite a lengthy video for today. It is an hour long, which is absolutely crazy. You're probably thinking this is literally just a cabin. It's a little bit on the smaller side, but guys, I worked so hard on this cabin. I really hope you guys enjoy it. And with that being said, since this is such a long video and it is fall inspired, there's fall in the air, and there's good vibes all around. I absolutely love this time of year, and I'm sure if you clicked on this video, then you probably do as well. So go ahead, grab some coffee, grab some hot chocolate, grab a warm beverage or an iced coffee if that is your thing, and grab a blanket, cozy up on the couch or your bed, and let's go ahead and get into today's build. So we are in Granite Falls building a cabin, and this is like a family inspired cabin. I tried really hard to include lots of fun family gameplay items in this build and make it look super cute and super cozy at the same time. I am building during fall here in the game, and that just comes with the territory. I mean, why would I not take this opportunity to build in fall in Granite Falls, because it is so pretty here in fall. I absolutely love it. And seeing all the leaves falling on the ground, you might, yeah, there are some leaves. I was gonna say you might not see it too much right now, but there's some off in the corner. And as I place more leaves and I kind of test the build as I go, there will be more leaves on the actual lot all around the trees that I place, and it turns out absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love the way this build turned out. And one of the features of the build that you are probably witnessing now is the fact that I built a custom tree house behind the cabin, and this is like the perfect place for the kids of the family that lives here, or teens, whatever, to come here and have their own little like space. It's almost like they could play house in this tree house. That is the vibe I was going for with this. And something that's interesting about this tree house compared to the other ones that I've done is the fact that I'm using this tree from Outdoor Retreat. How cute is this tree? I forget that this tree even exists, to be honest. I love the lanterns everywhere and the fairy lights, and like I said, I forget this exists because you have to go in Outdoor Retreat debug catalog to be able to find this tree. And so if you're not an avid debug builder, then you probably don't even know this exists. You might have seen it in other videos, you might have seen it in builds, and think like, where are these people finding this tree at? Is this like custom content or something? No, it's not. It is literally just hard to find, and you honestly have to sort with showing only Outdoor Retreat, and then of course type in the bb.show hidden objects and bb.show live edit objects, sort to showing Outdoor Retreat only, type in debug, click on one of the debug like words that pops up in the search catalog. Don't actually just type in debug and enter. You have to actually click on one of the debug words, and then it'll show up the debug catalog, and from there you'll be able to find it. Shouldn't be hard from there. And so It's so cute. I absolutely love this tree. And you've probably seen a little bit of a sneak peek where when I had half the walls down, you've seen the tree trunks are going through the tree house, which is a common thing that I do. But this one has the fairy lights wrapped around the trunk, and you can still see that on the inside of the build, and I love that. That is done purposely. I think it is so pretty. And then all of the lanterns are only on the outside. Like, I placed it perfectly to where none of the lanterns clip in the inside of the house. You might have a little bit of a corner of one somewhere, but it's so hard to see you probably won't even notice it. The only bad part about using this tree is the fact that it is in debug, so the closer you get to it, it disappears. And so that is not ideal. That kind of sucks, to be honest. So in order to see the trunk in your screenshots, you will have to go into, like, you have to press tab so you can see, you know, bird's view or whatever it's called. Just press tab and then slide or glide over to the treehouse, go into the treehouse, and from there you'll be able to take pretty cute screenshots that actually has the trunk in the background. And I actually worked really hard furnishing that tree house because it was important for me not to have any objects clipping into the tree trunk, because I really wanted that cute screenshot aspect. So you'll see me later when I actually furnish it. It's one of the last things that I do. You'll see me pay close attention to the trunk and the clipping of the treehouse, and I place like little like poofs and chairs all around it, child skill building items. I do place a bed in there, so there is an extra bed in this house, and there's plenty of places to sleep. There are only 3 bedrooms on the main part of the cabin. One is the master, the other 2 upstairs are the spare bedrooms. One I furnished for an infant. You could totally like refurnish it for whatever Sims you have. And then the other one I furnished for like a child or a teen. It has a loft bed, and obviously you could change any of these bedrooms to your liking if you do download this off of the gallery. And like I said, there is that extra bedroom technically in the cabin or the treehouse. And the treehouse, it almost is furnished like a little house in itself. And I was imagining that, you know, it's perfect for a kid that loves to imagine themselves being an adult and playing house, so to speak. And that's the vibe I had in mind and tried to portray in the finished product. And I think I did a pretty good job. There's like a kitchenette in there. There's no oven. That's dangerous. Kids can't cook in the oven anyways, so why would I need it in there? And I didn't put a kitchen sink, but I do have a bathroom also in there. So there's full electricity, full running water. It is not a very realistic tree house in that case, but it's The Sims. So you know what? It's realistic for The Sims, and that's all that matters. Even if it's not the most realistic tree house I've ever made, it is one of the cutest ones I've ever made. And definitely stay tuned till the end so that you can see me furnish it, because I am telling you, you guys won't be disappointed. It turns out so adorable. As of right now, I am trying to design the outside of the build to get it exactly how I am envisioning it in my mind. That little fire pit area, I do end up changing a little bit. Like, I'm kind of doing it right now. I am placing the fairy lights instead of all around it. I am placing it over the actual campfire. And I thought that would give it like a super cute, relaxing aspect, especially if it's at night. You have all of your Sims out there, they're roasting marshmallows or hot dogs. They can see the creek off into the distance, and there's lots of trees and bushes around the actual fire pit area, and it feels really cozy in that area once I completely finish it. Like, I really love how cozy the whole build came out. And another thing is that I almost added this like fence all around it, but I think it took away from the actual cabin vibe. Like, it almost made it a little bit too homey in a way and not cabiny, not like, camping. I was going for a camping vibe, not really like a home cabin. And so I do end up removing the fence, and I'm really happy that I did. It really looks so much better without the fence. The fence really it doesn't do anything for it. It makes it look worse, if anything. But the fence did help me be able to position and design the landscaping, especially in like the front, how I have a lot of bushes surrounding the actual cabin, and then in the corner I have additional bushes, so it makes it feel like kind of broken up and really blending in with the world around it, which was very important for me to do. Obviously, as you're in Build Buy, it has the outline of where the actual lot ends, and so you can see the difference. You can see where the lot ends and where the world begins. But when you're in the actual live mode, without the line around it on the corner of the lot, it blends in perfectly. Like, you can really not tell where the lot ends and the world begins, and that was really the vibe, and that was my goal. That was what I was aiming for, and I think I accomplished it very, very well, at least in the front. The back of the build, you might be able to tell a little bit more because I just wanted it to feel as closed in as possible, and so I put a lot of trees in the back of the build, and it really does make it feel really closed in and like you're really deep in the forest, and I love that. And honestly, saying that, how the front, really blends in, but the back is a different story. It reminds me of that saying about the front of my hair looks good, but the back is none of my business. The same goes for this. You don't really see the back of the build too much unless you're in the backyard, but the way I designed this, when you're in the backyard, the trees are in the back, so you really don't see the back of the build unless you go past the trees. I hope that makes sense. But I am finally starting on the inside of the build. I am putting together the floor plan, at least here in just a moment, after I check to make sure the outside looks good enough. I honestly had a little bit of a hard time with the floor plan. I did come back a few different times. I cut that part out. You really didn't need to see it. But I did come back a few different times trying to do the floor plan and gave up a couple of times and just went back to the outside and furnishing the landscaping and stuff. It's a little bit small on the inside, and the upstairs I really wanted to use, but it's kind of skinny and very small up there. And so yeah, I had a hard time placing the staircase and deciding where I wanted to put the kitchen and the dining room and the living room, the master bedroom. I almost did the master bedroom over there in the corner where it's looking off into the backyard, and I actually end up changing it to where the living room was supposed to be in the beginning of the build. Yeah, this is where I'm kind of tossing around different ideas. This one definitely ended up being one of the more difficult floor plans for me to design for whatever reason, but I am happy with the finished product. I finally decided that this area over here would be perfect for the master bedroom, and it's super small, too small for the living room. Didn't love it, so I end up putting the living room over to where the master bedroom is currently, and it just gave me so much more space. And it made a lot more sense since it's closer to the bathroom and closer to the dining room and the kitchen. And I do end up moving the back door from where it is now. I end up moving it to where the windows are, and then I move the windows over to where the door is. You will see that here in a minute. I am slowly but surely figuring out exactly where I want everything to be. I do end up leaving the kitchen exactly where it is, and it is not fully completed, which is not ideal, but it is a cabin for vacation. It's not meant to actually live in. I actually had in my mind that this cabin belongs to a particular family, like they own this cabin and they come out here every fall and have a little fall vacation. It's like an annual tradition for them. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the beginning of the build, but that is what I had in mind. And so with that being said, it's really just for vacation. It's for like, you know, to stay for a week and then to go home, or stay for a few days and then to go home. So there is not a sink in the kitchen, which is not ideal, but it's a vacation home, so I gave it a pass this time. There is a sink in the bathroom, so your Sims will have to wash dishes in the bathroom. Yeah, kinda gross, but it's The Sims. Luckily, we don't have to do that in real life, you know, so The Sims don't care like we do in real life. It's fine. They go to the sink half the time anyways in the bathroom, so yeah, they're used to it. They're used to washing the bathroom. They're used to washing their dishes where they go to the bathroom. Yeah, it's pretty nasty when you put it that way, but it is what it is. It's how I was able to get the floor plan to work. I really wanted to have an oven and a fridge with counters in the kitchen, and the sink, you know, there's one in the bathroom, so we could do away with that. I just really wanted to have an area inside to where they could cook, and they didn't only have a grill outside. Because sometimes it rains, so what are you going to do if it's raining? Have your Sim go out there and grill? Probably. But if you're wanting to be nice, like I was imagining, then there is an additional stove on the inside of the house. And yes, technically I could have added the sink where I put the coffee maker, but it was important for me to add a coffee maker in this cabin. It's fall, you know, who doesn't want a nice cup of coffee sitting out on their front porch, just drinking and listening and looking at all of the wildlife and the leaves, listening to the birds chirping, and just really enjoying their mornings with their cup of coffee. I really liked the thought of that. Plus, the sink wasn't directly under the window. It was a little bit off to the side, and that just irritates me, to be totally honest. And so, yeah, I decided just to do the coffee pot instead. It looked so much better, and they, like I said already, they can wash their dishes in the bathroom. It's fine. So this is another one of those builds where I constantly go from the inside back to the outside, back to the inside, whenever I decide that whatever I'm working on is getting to be a little bit too much and it's stressing me out, and so I go to a different part of the build to focus on that part of the build. I don't know why I do this. It's just something that I tend to do. Sometimes my mind just draws a blank on the area I'm working at and I have to go somewhere else. So just keep that in mind, that you'll see me kind of jump back and forth throughout the build. But right now we are back outside and I'm wanting to design the rest of the backyard so I can really see how it's coming along. And I really wanted to add both monkey bars and a swing set, but I never was able to get it to look good without it being a little bit too squished, and so I decided to stick with the swing set instead of the monkey bars, which, you know, I hate the fact that they did not include a skill attached to the swing set. There's only a skill attached to the monkey bars, so it kind of sucks that there is no additional skill building item outdoors for the child, but I really just loved the way the swing set looked. I mean, look at that swatch from the season's swing set. It's like perfect for fall builds, so I couldn't help myself but to use it. And there's other skill building items throughout this whole build for the child, so I figured it wasn't too big of a deal not to have that monkey bar set. If it's something you want, you could totally just plop it down somewhere and add it to the build wherever you want it to be. I am now adding a back porch. At first I wasn't too fond of the way the back porch looked when I had it just a square or a rectangle out there, but adding it curved I feel like made it look so much better. I wish that I would have built this whole cabin originally on a platform instead of a foundation and just raised up the platform a little bit so that I could have added an extra step up onto the back porch. Not the porch, but I guess it's still considered the back porch. I don't really know how to describe this area. So you have the back porch, then step down, there's additional like pavement on the back porch. I really wanted that additional pavement to have a step up too, but I was already too far into the build to go back now, so it is what it is, it's staying like this. But I do add plenty of terrain paint at the end of the build to make it blend in really, really nicely. And so that helps a lot. When you have just the pavement on the grass with no additional terrain paint, it looks so off and not detailed and not good. And so yeah, that additional terrain paint makes such a huge difference. And while I'm on the subject of terrain paint, yeah, you've probably seen me add a path of just dirt. Don't worry, it doesn't stay like that. It ends up looking exactly like the rest of the terrain paint in the rest of Granite Falls. It blends in really nicely. And what I have now is literally just a rough draft, a placeholder if you will, just so I can see where the actual path is going to be, so I don't place any objects or landscaping over the path. It really just gives me an image in my mind. The finished product looks so much better, like 10 times better. I was actually really happy with the way that I did the terrain paint. It turns out really, really well. I really wanted it to look natural, and I did my best. I also placed a lot of these little single planter boxes around the build. I think they add such a cute little detail, and since this, in my mind, is owned by a particular family, they probably plant a lot of different things that they can use in their herbalism creations, whether that's mosquito repellent or whatever it may be. I figured these planter boxes they use for whatever plants they need for their herbalism, which is definitely useful in Granite Falls. I think it's filled with like mosquitoes and different bugs that can really irritate your sim. So if I'm not mistaken, herbalism is like a huge part of outdoor retreat, so I thought it was a really good idea to use those planter boxes everywhere. Plus, like I said, it adds a really cute detail and I loved it. So we are making really good progress on the inside of the build. I did go ahead and switch the living room with the master bedroom. This was originally going to be the master bedroom, and how much better and bigger is it for the living room instead? I don't know what I was thinking, but I eventually got it figured out. So better late than never, I suppose. As far as the whole like aesthetic and like vibe of the decorations on the inside of the cabin, I really was trying to think of what you would find in a cabin vacation rental in real life, and I really tried to stick with the super cute cabin-y feel on the decorations. I absolutely love that table I'm using in the dining room. That is from Cottage Living, and how cute is that table cover? Like, I absolutely love that. I think it's perfect for this type of aesthetic. And I added one of those live houseplants from Enchanted by Nature on top of the table. I thought that was such a cute idea. You know, in real life, that plant would totally be dead by the time you come back a year later, but in The Sims, it should be alive still. Something else that I added in this area that I thought was a super cute idea was under the staircase. There's like a huge gap because of the staircase I ended up using. I think that one's from Seasons, and it has like gaps and slots in between each of the steps, and underneath it doesn't have like a wall there, and so I really didn't want to leave it just blank. I feel like that's kind of boring, and I debated what I could put there, and I came across that like little woven basket full of plates and dishes, and that actually came from Outdoor Retreat, and I love that object. I always find it in the catalog and I always want to use it in a build, but I never have a good build to use it with. It kind of doesn't make sense for anything but a cabin or some sort of camping build. And so I knew I had to use it somewhere in here, and I almost put it outside next to the actual grill, but I thought it made a lot of sense kind of stored underneath that staircase. Like, that staircase area would be perfect for storage, and I placed that object there and I thought it was such a cute little touch. It is open so you can see like the plates and the silverware on the inside, and I just love that. I figured it is kept there like all year long, and that is where they store their plates and dishes and stuff. And when they are here for the week or however long they stay here, they actually open it up and place the dishes inside of the actual cabinets and keep it there. And then once they are ready to go home, when they are packing everything up, they place the dishes back into those little baskets so that dust and stuff like that, critters, I guess, they don't get on their dishes. They can just keep it in there so that it stays nice and clean all year long until they come back the following year. Next to the front door on the cabin, I struggled with what to put in that little corner in between the front door and the bathroom door. And I came across that like log lamp from Outdoor Retreat, and I thought it was perfect. It was super, super cute. I wanted to put it somewhere, and I thought it was perfect for that area. It fit there too good not to use it in that location. I think it looks super, super cute. And next to it, I end up putting some of those like rain boots from the new mudroom kit, and I think it's so cute. I could totally see one of the Sims going out and going for a hike in the rain boots. They get all muddy and they don't want to track the mud inside, and so they just leave it by the door. I think it's so cute. So like I said earlier, I am adding as many skill building items in this cabin as possible. So I wasn't able to fit like toy boxes and a whole bunch of toys in the kids' rooms upstairs because they are so small. And so I actually put the toy box downstairs in the living room right next to that like bookcase shelf looking thing. And then I added some blocks for the toddler or infant in front of the toy box. I also came across this infant like playmat with the bear swatch. How perfect is that for a build like this? Too perfect not to use. And so I placed that in the living room downstairs as well. So the living room is like the perfect place for the family to gather around when it's either too early in the morning or too late at night to go outside. Maybe it's raining, maybe they just want to spend a day indoors by the fireplace, and the parents can watch TV. That is a TV, by the way. It looks like a painting, but it's a TV. I wanted to add plenty of like entertainment items in here as well, just in case, like I said, it's raining outside, or maybe it's too cold, or you just want to stay inside. I have a radio, I have the TV, and that's really about it as far as like those entertainment items go. And then the kids, they have the toy box, there's the play mat, plenty of skill building and entertainment items in here, that is for sure. I can really picture the family gathering around in the living room and just having a really good family day. So I am completely finished with the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom downstairs, and I am now in the master bedroom just finishing up this room. And this is a very, very simple master bedroom. Obviously it's super small, so I can't really fit a whole bunch of things in here. Obviously, we have a plaid theme going on. I am not a huge fan of plaid. I mean, it's fine, it's okay. It's cute in certain aspects, and this is one of the cases where it is cute. Something that's super like cabiny or farmhousey or country-like. it works in cases like this. And so there's like plenty of plaid curtains. I use the plaid couch, I use the plaid bed, lots of plaid. But I used the neutral plaid. I didn't go for the red, it was a little bit too busy, and I really liked the way that the neutral plaid looked, and so that's what I ended up sticking with. There's the plaid bedspread, the plaid curtains, so I didn't want to add like a busy rug, so I ended up just doing like a plain rug, and it kind of tied it all together and looks really nice. I did include a dresser downstairs in the master bedroom, and on top of the dresser, I almost did that like woohoo board game. I can't remember really what it's called. It came from Love Struck. I thought that was kind of a cute idea, but you know what? There's kids in this house. Let's not go that far. If you want to add that, if this is like the perfect honeymoon cabin, then you could totally add that board game, and you know, the parents or the couple, they can have a fun time. But I ended up doing away with that board game, and I included the board game, I think it's from Growing Together or one of the newer packs, and it's not actually a functional item, it's really just for show, but I like the storytelling purpose that there are plenty of board games in this house for the family to get together at the dining table and have a really fun board game night. I just really love that. And then next to it, I added like a purse for one of the parents, and then like a set of keys and some glasses. I really like those little small touches like that. That really makes it feel homey. And that is pretty much it for downstairs. I might add some things here and there, but it really stays like that for the most part. And we are now upstairs working on the extra bedrooms that I furnished for children. One is for like an actual child, the other one is for an infant. And as you can see, these rooms are very small. So it really only has the bare minimum that it needs. The infant's room has the crib and it has a changing table, and that is it. It doesn't have anything else. And I almost went with the typical base game crib, but then I came across that one from Enchanted by Nature, and that swatch with the acorns and the leaves, like, how could I not add that in a build like this? And so I did include that. It doesn't match exactly with the changing table, but it matched enough to where I could overlook it, and it wasn't too big of a deal. And that's really it for the infant's room. Super simple, has everything you need and only what you need and nothing extra. I couldn't fit anything else. And same with this child's room. So obviously it's not ideal that I had to put the loft bed in front of one of the only two small windows in the room, but it is what it is. It's how it turned out, and I couldn't help it. I also had to cut out that extra part of the room, which that's not ideal either. I hate the fact that I even had to do that, but I really wanted to use a loft bed so that I could include a desk in here as well. There is no computer. You could totally add one if you want a computer, but instead of adding a computer, I really want your Sims to focus on the outdoor activities, obviously, but they have to spend some sort of time inside too when it's dark outside or whatever. So I figured the kid could sit at the desk and make friendship bracelets, or maybe read that Scouts book, or write in the diary, or whatever it is. There's just a desk that they could use for whatever. And that is it for the inside of the build. We are pretty much completely done with the inside, besides the treehouse, obviously, that will come last. Before I get into talking about the rest of the outside of the build, I do want to take a second to mention the bathroom. I never did talk about the bathroom. I was busy talking about everything else. So I kept the bathroom very simple, and I wanted to keep the cabin vibe there too. So I stuck with like older looking bathroom appliances. I think they're called appliance. I don't know if it's an appliance or not, but like the tub, the shower, the sink. You guys know what I mean. And one thing that I did do on purpose, I always love to add like toilet roll holders. And this time, instead of doing that, I actually added like the single toilet paper roll, not on the actual like holder. It's just literally placed on the back of the toilet. I really love that touch. I know it's very simple and it's probably not worth mentioning, but it really makes it feel like a real cabin of a family that just comes here to stay, you know? They don't see the need to buy a toilet paper holder. They just place it on the back of the toilet. I don't know, I really like that detail. So I wanted to point it out just in case you guys missed it, but I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you seen it, and I'm sure you understood why I did it, but I wanted to explain it just in case you didn't understand why I just put it on the back of the toilet. And that is pretty much all there is to mention on the inside of the build. We are now finally finishing up the outside of the cabin, and this is like my favorite part. I love the way that the outside came out, and I am working on the terrain paint, and I spent quite a bit of time on the terrain paint, to be totally honest. It was really important for me to really paint the terrain to make it look as realistic as possible and make it blend in with the outside world as much as possible. So I probably spend a good 10 minutes of the speed build just on the terrain paint, which is absolutely crazy, but that's just how much time I spent on it. I really spent some time debating in my head if I wanted to add additional landscaping in between the end of the porch and where the actual fire pit area is. And I almost added a tree there, but I do remove that. It just was way too much in the way. And usually in the actual live mode, the trees will disappear the closer you get to the ground, but that tree did not. That tree stayed, and I didn't like that. It really just was in the way. But I do keep the actual bushes and stuff under it, and I love that sort of division. It really makes the fire pit area its own area, and it feels like it's not super close to the house, not as close as it actually is. And same with the porch. It makes the porch feel super closed off and really cozy and makes it its own area. It doesn't make it feel like, you know, the fire pit is so close to the porch. So I really love that detail. So I have mentioned so many things I struggled with this build, so it's safe to say I struggled with the whole build. I really did. And another area that I struggled with was what to put underneath the treehouse. There was like this space here that I really wanted to use for something. Instead of just placing bushes, I wanted it to be useful for something. And so I almost put a tent there, and I figured the family could like just camp in that tent in case they didn't want to camp indoors. They really wanted to have the camping outdoor feel, but still have indoor plumbing. But instead of that, I came across this like TV thing from the Little Campers kit. I love that kit. I haven't used it in a while, and I figured this build was the perfect opportunity to do so. And so I used that TV, or like the projector thing. It's not really a TV, it's more of the projector, and I placed like super cute chairs in front of it. All of those chairs are from the Little Campers kit. And then I placed the little wagon with the s'mores making kit on top of it, which technically that probably should be by the fire pit, but it looked cuter here, so it is what it is. I decided to keep it here. I have lanterns all around it, and I do end up placing some blankets underneath the chairs and the TV. I placed some little shoes there so that it looks like the Sims will take their shoes off so that they're super cozy while they're watching their movie. And I just really love the way that this area turned out. I also added some like curtains from Island Living surrounding the little area so it feels just super cozy and closed off. I love the way this area turned out. The curtains, they don't disappear in live mode, so that is a little unfortunate, but at least you can see through the curtain, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that area just turned out super cute, and I figured that was so much better than leaving that area blank or adding more bushes. We have plenty of bushes. We didn't need any more. I figured it was so much better making it usable, and I can totally see this family just having such a cute, fun family movie night underneath the treehouse. And there's plenty of fireflies flying around, there's the fairy lights on the tree trunk and the lanterns, creating such a cute, cozy ambiance, and I love it. I am now pulling out additional landscaping from the Outdoor Retreat debug catalog. It kind of goes with what I was saying earlier. I really want the landscaping and terrain paint to match the exterior world. And I don't use the Outdoor Retreat landscaping like ever, so it was really fun to use it for a change. I'm using these ferns mixed with those really bushy bushes and the white flowers along with these hydrangeas. The hydrangeas you will not see on the exterior world, but it was a nice, cute little touch, and I needed some sort of landscaping other than the bushes to bring it out a little bit of color, you know, and that mixed with the white, like weed looking flowers, I think it looks super cute. And on the side of the cabin, you know me, I can't leave any blank slates. And so I end up pulling out some vines and just place it all along the exterior walls in the blank areas. And I love the way it looks. It really makes the cabin feel like it's been here for a while, and maybe this cabin has been in this family for generations, and it really feels like it just blends in perfectly. I do have some last minute terrain paint still, but I really wanted to focus on the treehouse and get the treehouse done. I had so much fun furnishing this treehouse. It was a little bit of a pain, as you could probably see, with the lanterns and the tree just everywhere kind of in the way, but then once I get in the inside to furnish, it disappears, as you can see. So you'll see me zoom in and out frequently while furnishing the inside. Hopefully that doesn't get on your nerves too much, but like I said earlier in the build, it was so important for me to make sure the items fit cohesively with the tree without clipping too much. So I came across these little like beanbag poof chairs, and that swatch, is that not a pancake? I'm pretty sure those are supposed to be pancakes, and I feel like that is perfect for a build like this. It gives such cabin vibes, and I love it so much. It was too cute not to make sure I put in the treehouse somewhere. So we have plenty of pancake poofs around for your Sims to sit on. I do put like a lamp on top of one because it was super cute, and I didn't want to do any like ceiling lighting in here. I really liked the idea of having just lanterns throughout the build, and so that's what I did, and it turned out super cute. And then as far as the bathroom goes, I chose the wood toilet, shower, and sink so that it looks like it's kind of built in the treehouse. I really like that aspect. And the bathroom's super simple. I didn't really want to overdo the bathroom. I just wanted to put the necessities. And same with the kitchen. So the kitchen, you'll see it has a fridge, and I do not think I added a microwave. If I did, I added the mini fridge with the microwave on top, and then I added some counters next to it. There is no sink and there is no stove in the treehouse, and that is done purposely. I mean, no kid in the game can use the oven without an adult sim helping them, I believe, and so I figured it was better just to leave it without the stove. And I'm really just putting the kitchen for the storytelling purpose of the child really loving to play house and pretending that they're cooking and not actually cooking, unless they're using the microwave to make like a breakfast burrito or making a peanut butter and jelly from the fridge. I added like that little piece of clutter from Outdoor Retreat. It looks like a cereal box with some cans. They can make cereal in here, and that's about as much cooking as they can do in here. So I really love these leaf rugs that came with Enchanted by Nature, but I never really know how to use them. Like, I don't know, but this fall inspired cabin treehouse is like literally the perfect build to use these rugs in, and probably the only opportunity I'll ever get to do it again. And they look so cute in here. It really brings it all together. And one thing to note is that I did include a creativity table for the kid in here. The only place I was able to put it was right here in front of these counters, which, yeah, obviously your sim will not be able to use those counters, but I think they should be able to use the one right next to the corner cabinet, and that's really all that they need if they even do any cooking in here anyways. They're probably just gonna grab a burrito out of the fridge, plop it in the microwave, and then eat it. They really don't even need the counter, so I figured it was worth placing their creativity table there. It's better than not having one. And as far as that like bed area goes, I really love that I added that bed with the canopy on it, and I added that tree decal right behind it. I thought that was super cute. This is a tree house, so why not? And I also included obviously the poofs that I was talking about in the chairs. I could totally see a couple of the kids coming in the tree house and just having like a little storytelling session in that little area with the little acorn lamp, and I just think it turned out so cute. On the outside of the tree house, I included a telescope. I thought that was perfect to have your Sims come up here and watch the stars. It probably is so pretty because it gets so dark out here at night. Obviously there's like fairy lights everywhere, but as far as Granite Falls in general goes, it is pretty dark outside at night, and so watching the stars from the telescope just seems so like fun and cozy and perfect for this build. And then at the very end, I do go back up where the telescope is, and right next to it I add one of those Don't Wake the Llama gaming tables with 2 chairs. I couldn't fit 4, but 2's better than none, and so that's just one additional skill building item or entertainment item. I don't think it's a skill building item, but it is perfect for entertainment. So that is pretty much all there is to say about this build. For the rest of the build, the next couple of minutes, I'm really just finishing up the terrain paint, and then after that we'll go into the screenshots. I will leave you guys to enjoy the rest of the build on your own. I really hope you enjoyed today's speed build. Of course, if you did, please do not forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already. Also, comment down below what your favorite part of today's build is. I really love to hear from you guys. I hope you all have an amazing day or night wherever you are. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!